Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Kim Duramo. I am really excited to come in today to share, and I have someone who I'm going to be interviewing about addiction, recovery, and what that has to do with pain, fear, illness, chronic fatigue. When people aren't, you're not getting better no matter what you do, and how our connection with ourselves is really the thing that determines how we experience everything in our life, whether we're like white knuckling it through the day, white knuckling it through the year, or we're in flow with serendipity and abundance and ease and the gifts that life has for us. So I'm gonna invite Tommy on whenever he gets here, but I'm gonna start out just by sharing a little bit about what I've seen with this whole concept of like addiction and avoiding our connection with ourselves, and why this creates lack, disease, trauma, drama in our relationships, and a lot of the anxiety and depression that so many people are living in. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm a physician. I was board certified in emergency medicine, but I'm now solely sharing about mind-body medicine and how the body heals itself and how we ignite the body's ability to heal itself. And I think that when we look at like fear or all the other holes we try to fill and things we try to avoid with everything we've got, a lot of addictive behaviors come up, whether it's constantly checking in social media, looking outside ourselves, like getting in the phone, who loves me? What's happening in my life? Where's my significance? To avoid a sense of emptiness or unworthiness. Or maybe it's like food and our interaction with food and how we're eating as a way to avoid feeling the emptiness, feeling the fear, feeling the void. Or the way we engage in relationships, right? Love me, love me, love me, because I really don't love myself. I really don't feel lovable, as a way to kind of fill the hole. And I learned this a long time ago, the difference between filling the hole with even things like self-healing, right? I got to heal myself, but I'm actually just trying to avoid fear, pain, and emptiness. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Kim Duramo. I am coming in live to have a meeting with Tommy Rosen, who is an amazing yogi who assists people in getting over addiction. And the reason I'm impressed with his work and
Great.
oh, good. Here we are. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I started the whole thing over, so I came back in. So I'm
Okay.
just going to share with people a little bit about who you are and why I'm so excited to connect with you.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
so Tommy is a yogi, but he's using this yogic practice as a way for us to connect more fully with the body, for healing addiction, specifically like, opioids, like the biggest, baddest things, alcohol abuse, even like cigarettes, marijuana, and has himself come through this journey, which is why I'm really, really eager to bring him on. So he brings a really powerful depth of presence. But so for those of you who have struggled with addiction, but also because I, as a physician,
Sure.
have seen that the biggest thing that keeps people sick, where they're not getting better, no matter what they do, like really severe illnesses, pain, anxiety, fatigue, and like it's not getting any better, is when we're not in connection with ourselves. So we're using whatever to avoid meeting our fear, meeting our pain, meeting our grief, meeting our loneliness. And whether you identify it as an addiction or not, this is the universal thing that I've seen create these kinds of illnesses that don't get better. And when we're willing to meet what's there, whether you're using self-help as an addiction or even yoga as an addiction to avoid actually connecting and feeling, you're not ever going to be free. And Tommy is someone who has really powerful work that is pretty guaranteed to set you free through connecting with what's actually here now. So welcome, and I'm so glad we could connect.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kim. I am so grateful that I'm here with you and to get to chat with you a bit. And you completely nailed it. I mean, you are speaking my language right there. Disconnection from self, disconnection from this moment, disconnection from our emotions, disconnection as an extension from everybody else, and a sense of disconnection from the planet and the earth, from our food and the way we treat that, And of course, that disconnection brings pain. It's so uncomfortable. And it's so ironic that the actual thing that we're looking for is connection. And yet we engage in the very behaviors that lead us further away from it.
Yeah. Yeah, because even if it's I'm going to connect on Facebook or I'm going to do this, but we don't check in with the self first to see like, wait, what am I actually looking for here? Or I'm going to enjoy food, I'm going to have this, or and drugs. Wait, what am I actually looking for? And connect with it within ourselves first. And then that will, maybe we will enjoy that chocolate cake, but it's from a sense of wholeness, and it will contribute even more to our wholeness versus from a sense of escape, and it's going to contribute more to our emptiness and unworthiness. And I think the biggest thing of why I was so excited to meet you is I have seen that no matter what we're teaching, the impact is in our embodiment. And so if you've come through the journey you've come through, it actually met these spaces of that depth and that pain and that emptiness. It creates a bridge that just by hearing your words or just by seeing your face or what you might post, someone actually accesses that depth within themselves, that courage and that same ability to walk into that connection within themselves. What would you say is like a best place to start for someone who wants to have more of that connection? We won't see it as that though. We'll see, I want to have more abundance or love or joy or health in my life, and I'm in lack. Where would you have them start?
Yeah, I would have them start at the bottom right now. I would have you start at the bottom. I would have you say to yourself the truth of your situation. And the bottom is nothing more than a sacred space that we reach where we're ready to tell the truth. That's the bottom. That's all a bottom is. You reach a place where you can sit with yourself and you can say, here's my truth right now. I am struggling in this way or that way. This is difficult for me. I'm under the weight of so much. I don't know my way forward, but I know there's a way forward, but I don't know my way forward. And if you can start right there and humble yourself before the present moment, humble yourself into this moment and the truth of this moment, that's where you begin. And everything you could ever hope for, beyond what you could imagine, comes from that humility and that moment and your willingness to just start at the bottom. Start right here. It's not everything's great. Oh, I'll figure it out eventually. Yeah, this sucks, but I'll just keep going and floating along through life and hope that things turn out okay.
Yeah, it's not about being positive.
So it's so interesting. It's just about being real. And part of being real could also be, while I'm having this struggle, I recognize there are strengths in me. I recognize I've got tremendous potential. I recognize there's love all around me, and I recognize that I've been cut off from it. And that's if we can really start there, then everything starts to flow in.
Well, one of the things that's been going on this month that I've been involved in is the Tapping World Summit. And so you're using EFT tapping. I love this modality for healing. But people will often say, why do you tap on the negative? Aren't I instilling the negative? But the point is the point you're making. You tap on what's here now. I feel bad. I have this thought. I think I'll never make it. It's what's here now. And I've never heard someone say it the way you just said it, start at the bottom. And then you said the now, because, when people say like, when you finally hit the bottom and then you wake up and you can do it differently, but you don't need to wait for things to get worse. If you access the now where the depth is, you're at a bottom. You can let everything come up right here, right now to awaken you and to be a doorway that you walk through, and you can make that choice now, but you have to get more in the now of what you're feeling, what you're sensing, the shit that's here, the unthinkable things that are here. It's all right here. And
Yes.
especially in EFT tapping, people will say, do I tap on my past? It's only what's here. If the stuff you're holding is here, you're going to feel it, but you have to access the now to begin to sense it.
Mm.
What would be the way you would maybe invite someone to do that and actually like get here now with what is
Mm.
in order to let things come up?
Okay. So let's talk about the now. It's always here. There's always an opportunity to access it. And that question you just asked can best be answered, I feel, by looking at what gets in the way. So what could possibly get in the way of the now? Only two things. The past and the future. These are the only things that could ever get in the way. So let's first look at the past. What is it about the past that could prevent us from becoming fully present? And the answer is memory. You have a memory. You have a mental image of something that has taken place in your perception, that has taken place in some point in the past. The funny thing about memory is that they're finding scientific proof that about 50% of our memories never actually happened.
Yeah.
And we're living a life of anxiety and fear, and we're being driven by memories which may not have actually taken place, which is like
the fabrication.
It's an amazing
It's a total
thing.
fabrication. And even the ones that are real,
Yes.
our filter of how we see them is a fabrication.
Yes. The best way I've heard that put is we don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. And so at any moment in time, I'm stuck in a movie. And the movie is my perception of the things that took place in the past, which are now influencing my behavior. What can we do? First of all, we bring that up to our awareness. Oh, I feel angry right now. Why do I feel angry? Oh, I feel angry because my wife cut me off when I was in the middle of a sentence and I felt it was rude. And gosh, I feel sad about that, or I feel angry about that. And why is that? If I really, really, really track it, it's connected to a feeling of self-worth and an expectation that I have that the people who care most about me will listen to me. Now, my wife does listen to me. And in a moment in the day when she didn't listen to me, boom, a memory, an emotional memory is triggered. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that when my wife or anybody that I care about does that to me. Oh my goodness. Now I've got this tape running. That person doesn't care about me. That person, X, Y, and Z. Wow, it's just like it was when I remember, I have a memory back in school when a friend of mine cut me off. And the feeling is kind of the same. And so I'm running a tape. I have to be that vigilant, that aware in the moment to be able to catch myself and say, wait a minute. My wife loves me, cares about me, respects me. It was just a moment. She's got a busy day. Maybe she didn't have the time to listen to me in that moment. And it's like you can reframe anything, but not when you're unconscious.
You got to talk yourself out of your own story and awaken into what's actually happening now, what's real. And like you said, the hypervigilance, how hypervigilant in the beginning to grab every little like, whoa, wake up. And then it kind of becomes a state of you live awakened where you're not falling into those pits every 2 seconds.
And of course, you're right on it. It's a practice. It's a practice. And it comes, it's not like you're like, every second of the day, you have to like be careful of everything you say or every thought that comes through. That's impossible and that's neurotic. What happens is you go through your day and there are these moments of trigger. And you become angry for a moment or you become sad for a moment. And what you realize is, oh, I slipped back into disconnection. I slipped back into story. I slipped back into memory. So I began this by saying there's two things that get in the way, the past and the future. So this is the way the past gets in the way of you being fully present. But the minute you start looking at the thought, immediately you're back to presence. You're back to consciousness. And now you have a chance again to remain here. And not to react, but to respond with consciousness to whatever it is that's happening. Now the future is a funny thing because we absolutely, under meditative circumstances, we absolutely can project into the future the most positive things, match those projections with elevated emotions, and we can actually start to draw and work toward a future that we would really love to have. But that's very different from projecting anxiety, worry, concern, and fear into the future that one of two things is going to happen or not happen. I'm going to lose something that I have, or I'm not going to get something that I want. These are the two main fears related to the future.
Positive, negative.
And it's like, if you're in that loop of, I've got a memory that's keeping me stuck in the past, and I'm projecting negative outcomes into the future, guess what's missing from your life?
Presence.
The presence, consciousness, and any sense of serenity. What will you do? You will reach out to something in the outside world to feel better.
Yes.
You're looking in the wrong place. Because it won't matter if you get the thing you think you want in the external world, but you don't deal with this time neurosis. You will still be stuck, and you will forever be on that treadmill. It will never be enough, and you will always be craving or chasing after something.
Well, and I think the most powerful thing to understand about that is when we go to the external thing, it's a quick fix and like, yeah, oh, this is good, but it's never actually going to bring wholeness. It'll bring a pseudo sense like maybe we're getting closer to wholeness, but it's a farce. And then we have to continue to do more and more and more of like whatever the addiction is, like constantly looking at my phone, or maybe it's sexuality or porn, or maybe it's substances. And with the vice versa of like, oh, I'm going to look in a different place and go within. The first thing that happens is all the heaviness comes up, all the fear comes up, and it's, no, wait, I don't want to go this way. Let me go the other way. and there's two things, like the intensity of it is going to be big in the beginning, and that means we're right on it. Doesn't mean we're wrong. That's evidence of all the unleashing of all this density. But the other thing is it gets lighter as we go because we've let some of the density go. And so we're not going to live in this state of heaviness and discipline or whatever we think it's about. We live in more and more and more lightness. I would love you to share what that journey is. I know you have videos for people if they're like addicted to opioids, or which is, I think, the hardest thing I've seen. I worked as an emergency doctor for many years, and I can't imagine much other things that I have passion for. People feel so powerless, but at the same time so much wanted to go beyond the addiction. And I think that was one of the hardest things I saw. And you've got videos for people if they want to quit marijuana, cigarettes, alcohol, like here's where to start. So what would you say to people with that earlier part of the journey, and how to remember, like, no, I'm moving in a right direction where it actually is going to come to fruition?
Yes. So the number one directive is don't be alone in the early going. So you absolutely, we all absolutely need each other. And I just, in 30 years of recovery, I've never seen a human being recover alone. Never seen ever in 30 years. And I tell this to people and they're like, yeah, I got it. And I'm like, no, wait a moment. I don't think you have it. Let me explain to you exactly what I mean when I say don't be alone. In the early going, it means not that just that you're going to a meeting, for example, of say a 12-step meeting or a therapy meeting or a Recovery 2.0 meeting or whatever the meeting is. That's wonderful and that's amazing and that's a great thing to be doing every day so that you put yourself in the recovery soup of that energetic soup of other people who are working on the same stuff you are, really good, really powerful. What I mean by not being alone is that when you're struggling with a negative emotion, when you're stuck in craving, when you find yourself defaulting back into behaviors that you know are going to end in tears, you pick up the phone at that moment and you get in front of somebody. At that moment, whenever that moment is, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, until you get your feet underneath you and you're in a more stable, grounded approach to life with a foundation of recovery and a community around you. So in order to be able to pick up the phone and call somebody who understands, you need to develop a community of recovery. And this is the first thing. That's where it begins. And so go out. These days you can go on, it's probably 1,000, literally 1,000 12-step meetings every single day that you could probably get on. We have 30 meetings a week in Recovery 2.0. There are yoga classes online. There are meditation classes online. There's all kinds of community you can dig into. And every day you can do something. Every day you can do something that leads to your consciousness, leads to your comfort, leads to a life beyond craving. It is possible for anybody. And I've seen the most depraved, drug-addicted, traumatized people recover fully from their condition. But it was always done with support, with help, with a structure of meetings or the 12 steps or whatever your process is, but you have to have a community and you have to have a process.
Well, I think that is really a big testament to who you are, and that the embodiment you're in, having walked through that journey, is what assists so many people. Like I had said earlier, and Kyle Boyd, who's the person who introduced me to you from the Quantum Healing Collective, is a great example of this. Like, he's come through his own journey, and he had addiction, but people who saw him were like, you're in a whole different space of joy and openness and authenticity, and I want what you have. I don't have an addiction. Is there a 12-step process for me? Like, how do I have some of this in a different way to open up and live authentically and have what you're having? And I myself, when we were in medical school, we had to go to some meetings, the AA meetings, and like learn what this is all about. And I remember feeling like, these are people I would trust beyond what most people are, because most people haven't awakened to the inner world that they're in, and they're like living here up and just managing it, and I'm okay, but they're just as unconscious and addicted to like whatever patterns they're in. So I think it's really beautiful that there are so many resources for us to awaken from whatever the falsehood we're living and the patterns of sticking to that in an addictive way, versus truly being who we are here to be. And your work, like I did the spinal series where you're moving so much energy up through the spine, you're using the breath, you're using Kundalini. Like, I haven't had what I would consider addictions, but I have had where I want to live fully in my body and have all of me be grounded in my body instead of programming grounded in my body. I thought that was a great resource I shared in the Mind Body community. I shared that with my community. So what would you say for people who are in that category of like, I want to have what he's having, where do I start with this, who might not fall into that maybe addiction or substance abuse?
Yes. First, understand that from the most broad perspective on addiction, every human being is on the spectrum. Everyone. It doesn't mean you're a drug addict, alcoholic. It doesn't mean you're a sex addict or a food addict or a gambler or constantly in debt. It means you're part of the human condition. And part of the human condition is that we really get stuck in belief systems. We get stuck in patterns of behavior that don't serve us. And you know what we all share, everybody? I don't care where you're from, what race you're from, what country you're from, what color your skin is, what gender you may be. Every one of us wants the same thing. We want to be free. We want to feel free. We want to feel like our life has a purpose to it. We want to feel like we can engage in the world in a meaningful way. Everybody wants that. What gets in the way? Our mind. See this guy behind me right here? This
Yeah.
guy here? It's just a symbol. It's just a symbol of a energy, of a being that was able to get beyond their own mind, able to get beyond themselves. So if you understand that idea that you, like me, like them, like her, like him, like they, like whatever, we're all in this thing where we want the same thing, and the same things are blocking every one of us. You may not have ruined your life behind alcohol. My thing was severe drug addiction. You may not have ever gone down that road, and bless you if you haven't. You don't need to. But we still share a few things in common. And one of those things, in my opinion, is the way that we can heal from this thing is to overcome ourself. Each of us has to do that. And so how will you do that? You will come and you join Recovery 2.0. You will go and join another path. You can do this through religious pathways, spiritual pathways, atheist pathways, agnostic pathways. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. You go where your heart calls you to go, and you go there with all of your heart. And you do the work of looking. No more running away. You learn a meditation practice. This is absolutely without question. We all need it. You learn how to meditate. You learn how to quiet your mind. And then you learn about yourself. And guess what happens? You fall in love with you, with life. Yeah. For real. I mean, for real, you fall in love. You go out and it's like, oh my God, who just turned on the lights in the world? Who just, God, has that tree always been here? Wow, those birds, have they always been, has that bird song always been there? Wow. And you get lit up from the inside out. And then you get to be free. And then you get to serve other people from a place of fullness so that they can also be free. And that's the name of the game. That's it. That's why we've come. That's why we've come. And it's the best of the best. So.
Well, that's what I see you doing for sure. I see that in the videos and in your work, you show up with so much love for humanity because you've had to go and find that love for yourself, that you're worth living for, that you're worth going through that very difficult journey to awakening. And you bring that, passion for others. And I think that's why it's so powerfully awakening. So I want to invite people to your work, and I've let them know that it's Recovery 2.0, but the site is R2.0.
It's R20.com.
R20 here in YouTube channel. So, for me, I took one of those practices and just played with it for a while to let it work through me. It's a simple one, the spinal series I loved. But I do see, and like for myself, addicted to the phone, looking here, looking there. I've always begun to look, what am I avoiding or trying to escape that I'm going to the phone for? And then to just, even for a moment, take a breath to connect with what that is, where I feel empty or inadequate or whatever that may be that's coming up that I'm trying to not medicate, but try to alleviate in that instant, that I could actually obliterate and allow to come into light and to come into wholeness. So it can be a challenging thing to admit that we're not in wholeness or that we have addiction, but don't buy into the shame that you think is there, because like you said, Tommy, we all have had ways of avoiding ourselves, ways of escaping and doing the thing, whatever that thing may be. So I'm so glad you've been able to come on. I know we're taking time, and I'm grateful that you were able to make the time for us today to come in. Is there
My
anything you
pleasure.
want to leave people with as we complete? And we can always do this more again another time. I'm so glad we got to
Sure.
connect.
Well, I would like to leave people with a something to think about and contemplate for yourself. When you're doing your life, and let's say you're on a good track. You're pursuing health in your body. So there's something you do each day to pursue health in the body. It's working out, like with you and food. Like that relationship is on the improve. You're learning about sort of this body and what's good for you. And you're going to the gym, or you've got some workout routine. You're getting a yoga class, you're going running, and you've got a routine. Make sure to do the extra credit assignment for each of those things, which is bring love to it.
Yeah.
Don't just do it.
Yeah.
Don't just do it waiting for some outcome later. Be in love now. Be in love. You can do it. You have to choose that, though. Like right now, I'll say to Dr. Kim, we have to be in love with this moment right now. Just you and me, we've gotten a chat together. And we have to not be concerned about followers on our Instagrams. We can't be concerned about who's listening or who's not listening. It's just you and it's me. And we've gotten to spend this really sweet time together. And I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for your presence in the world as you've expressed your gratitude to me. And it feels nice. That just feels nice. I thank you. And so in this moment, we get to be in love. It's not that we are in love with each other in that romantic sense. It's that we're just in love. We're in it. And we get to be in it together with everybody else who gets to be here, who's chosen to be here. And we can all be in love. And this is what I'm talking about when we talk about, when you go to the gym, bring your love.
Yeah.
You go to yoga class, you get on that mat, bring your love. And what you will find is this love will beget more of it. It will beget more love and more love. It will beget gratitude. Once you have gratitude, now you've got the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
Nothing can stop you. Whatever it is you want, you'll attract it. If you're grateful, truly grateful, it's coming for you. So that's what I would offer for people to contemplate as we go into our days, our busy lives today, Yeah.
That was beautiful. And that was definitely the powerful way to say it, because while we started and came in, I was like, oh my God, I'm in love with this man. And I could feel it before we met. I've heard you in the videos. Oh, I feel like I'm in love with this man. And I know people have shared that with me too. I bring the presence of love. You really care about what you're doing, and you've shown up fully within yourself, and people feel that, and it ignites the presence of love within them, and it brings them to be in love with the moment. That's such a great way to say it, and that's the impact that you have.
Thank you, Dr. Kim. What a pleasure.
Thank you for being here. Thank
My
you
absolute
everyone
pleasure.
for tuning in. So Tommy Rosen, he's on YouTube and in Instagram here, and his site is r20.com. Definitely is something worth tuning into that will bring that presence of love and light in your day.
Thank you. Blessings.
Okay, you too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Thank you guys, everyone, for being here. I think you can feel why I was excited to bring Tommy to share with our community. I always bring it back to what's been the central focus of the work I'm doing around healing, specifically when I'm like stuck, nothing's getting better, no matter what I do, things aren't healing. He is a great embodiment of that. There is light within us that we can access. And if you do that moment of pause before maybe it's the addictive behavior or the self-destructive behavior, and I will never tell someone, don't do the behavior. I will tell them, I'll tell you, um, do it with total acceptance of yourself. And I went through a big movement around this morning of a pattern I've been in my own self-resistance, and kind of like go, 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 but overloading myself and not meeting the next greater depth within me. And yeah, it's nice to just like, oh, I'll just slow down and do it differently. But that hasn't been accessible. Like, I'm like, whoa, I'm really moving fast here. Okay, I'm just gonna love that I'm doing it this way. There's something I'm escaping that I don't want to move into more stillness and meet. And I love that I'm doing it this way. I accept it, I embrace it. And so then, as I'm on the whatever momentum that I just haven't been able to stop, there's a dissolution of it. There's a slowing down. There's a change. There's an opening. It happens for me. It can't come from me, but it can come through me when I embrace it, what is as it is, whether it's seeing myself in the addictive behavior or the sabotage pattern or the, acting out of instead of acting in consciousness. So bring more love, like Tommy said. It's not just bring more love, la la la, to the good thing. It's bring more willingness to embrace the moment as it is. In every moment, the things you think are bad, the things you judge, the things you think are shameful, the things you think are unacceptable. That is when we really light up our presence in our worlds and see a major shift. So thank you guys for being here. I hope that was helpful for you. And I think above all, to see how your embodiment invites so much into your life, not just your actions or your words. It's who are you being within yourself. So be willing to meet your pain or your shame or your fear with willingness and acceptance, which is love, like Tommy talked about. And that's what allows the greatest shift within us. All right, lots of love. Thank you for being here. I'm at drkimd.com, and also the Mind Body community in Facebook if you'd like to continue the conversation. And I'm here every week on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time for Mind Body TV. We'll go much further and deeper into lots of these topics that have to do with awakening into health and abundance and full on living. Bye.